ne li sos mbootaay OIC 1969 waaye balaa 1969 sax jotee yu tar nekkoon na diggante réew yi nekk ci Middle East ba fële waxi noppi nag diggante réew bu mel ni Israël ak ñoom Palestine ñu gisoon nag ne loolu jar na ñu dajale réew yi jullit yi ca Morocco 1969 ñu ne nañ indi mbootaay bii ni nag defar ko mu doon mbootaay boo xam ne dafay taxawu jullit bu jooy wala du jullit bu yuux ñu dal di gën a jàppale rek United Nations du ca génne dañ joteeg United Nations waaye dafay gën a yombal liggéey bi gannaaw mbootaay àdduna bi tudda United Nations OIC moo gën a rëy ci mbootaay àdduna bi moom mu ngi am juróom fukk ak juróom-ñaari réew yu ci ne réew yooyu yëpp su la neexee mun nga leen a ooye réew yi jullit wala itam bari na ay jullit yu fa dëkk loolu nag moo indi jamono si taarixa nag Gambia desut gannaaw ci loolu ni ki jiite woon Gambia ki njëkk a jiite Gambia di Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara amoon na comité boo xam ne moo ko jiite woon jamono jooja ambassadeur bi mu nekkoon Dr Umar Jah Senior ñu yónni woon ko nag Iraq mu dox ci wax ci ba jàmma sotti soo Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara nag ñun Gambia sax OIC maanaam delloo njukkal lay nuru rek waaye Gambia def na lu bari ci OIC looloo tax nag ñu nit ñu sawar ci nekk seeni doom nekk seeni sët nekk seeni jarbaat ñu nit ñu taxaw ci nag
I'm currently the Chief Executive Officer of the Gambia OIC Secretariat, and my role really is to lead a team of professionals, and our mandate is to mobilize needed resources to address some priority infrastructural projects ahead of the hosting of the 2022 OIC Summit, which will bring the Islamic Ummah of 57 heads of state and heads of government to the Gambia. The CEO, the Chief Executive Officer, is the bridge between management and the board. It's also the bridge between the local committees and the board. It's also the bridge because we also have other structures in terms of our collaborators and other stakeholders. We have, for instance, the Rural Reserve Committee, which is also a composition of various representatives of various agencies in government and outside government, whose work have a direct bearing on the implementation of the projects. So in terms of reporting, the CEO reports to the board, and the board meets monthly, but then they also meet in emergencies.
This is a huge deal for the Gambia, small as we are, but it shows the fact that Gambia has always been able to punch more than above its weight on the international stage. Students of history will tell you how Sir Dawda was involved in international peace and security, in the pursuit of international peace and security. And Gambia was also able to host the AU Summit in 2006. As recent as last year, the Gambia impressed the world when it took a mighty country like Myanmar to the International Court of Justice in search of justice for the people of Myanmar, the Rohingyas, who have come under immense oppression from the people that are supposed to have provided security and development for them. So in light of that, the OIC, like I said, is a huge deal. And in making sure that we get it right, my institution, my organization, which is OIC Gambia, was set up by the government to carry that tax out. And in doing so, OIC will carry out development works, the like of which has never been seen before in this country. It is going to change the trajectory. It will enhance significantly the fortunes of this country for good. I'm sure later on we will delve deeper into those projects, but I can tell you they are going to change the Gambia for the better.
Our mandate really is to mobilize necessary resources to bring about a successful summit. We have 6 strategic objectives. Of course, we have other cross-cutting objectives, but the key strategic objectives are, number 1, or projects if you like. Number 1 is the VVIP lounge at the airport. As we all know, the airport is the gateway to the country. For all visitors to the country, including summit visitors, the airport is key. That's the main entrance to the country. So we have a project of 10.5 million, which is basically geared towards establishing a new VVIP lounge. We reckon that most of these heads of state would come with their own aircrafts, and we needed to create parking space for the aircrafts. So that's also part of our work program, and also ground handling equipment. We needed to also have state-of-the-art ground handling equipment to be able to improve the infrastructure at the airport. So these are additional things that we are also pursuing. From the airport, one expects to be on a comfortable road to your accommodation. Therefore, the Battle Harding Highway is a key component of our 6 priority projects. It's a 22-kilometer stretch from the junction of Yundum all the way to Battle Harding Highway, through Battle Harding Highway up to Sting Corner. So currently we've carried out studies and we need $77 million for that project. We've already raised 55 million, and hopefully very soon we should be able to accomplish the entire amount. So that's a strategic project. The third strategic project is the accommodation. When visitors come, they need to be treated to first-class residential residences. So we have actually gone into a public-private partnership with the private sector to establish a 5-star hotel, which will have 400 bedrooms, 50 presidential villas or apartments, and 10 royal suites. That's a $100 million project, and currently we are on the negotiations, and hopefully a concession agreement will be concluded before the end of this August 2020. The next strategic project is the access roads, which is the 50-kilometer 20 urban roads. We realize that there is a lot of congestion on this trunk road, the Battle Harding Highway, and in constructing it, that will even add more chaos to the traffic conditions. So therefore, we have put aside, we've secured $50 million to construct 50 kilometers, 20 urban roads around what we call the project impact zone. And this will be mainly in this Greater Banjul area, covering part of West Coast region and KM, the Kanifi municipality.
laabi ɗine so ngayni ko wiyete ko consultancy and design ɓen woni ndarat ɓeɓe hoɗo lawol foti rew hono ngol foti waade ndako min mbaɗat ɗo koko ndako min mbaɗat gay mango walla ɗo cycle foti dogde so ɓe pewni ɗum haɓe ngayni noon ɓe gaddi minen noon lawol ngol wonata lawol ni tan kallangol ni ko lawol standard international tawa kala ɗo jaaɗa e aduna he a tawat ngol façon lawol dina am ndaje bu fe xewna bu soobee yàlla ak yonentam bu tedda bi dina xew ci atum 2022 ndaje boobu noonu su fee xew ñun liñ ñu gën a sas mooy nañ jëfandikoo suñ xel ak suñ xelaat ñu wër àdduna njëkkee Gambia tam de dajale njëriñ njëriñ li na mun naa nekk koom-koom wala xaalis mun naa nekk leneen loo xam ne itam waruwaay la ay otoog ak yooya loolu bokk na si dañuy defar ay yoon ne OIC ci boppam na ko wolof yi di waxee rek ku ayee wol sa moome du noonu waaw kon ñun ñoo ayee wol suñ moome bi nag la ca ànd mooy defar ay yoon yu correct.
And in the aspect of energy, we are working with our partners in this regard, NAWEC. We are giving NAWEC, I think, up to $32 million to enhance their generation and distribution capacity, both in the area of electricity and water. In the electricity component, we'll be replacing some of the transformers, but also we'll be helping NAWEC acquire modern cables, electricity cables, overhead cables, to make sure they are able to distribute as much power that they are able to generate, because as it is right now, NAWEC generates a lot of power, but distributing it is the problem. So that is what we want to help them to enhance. In the area of water resources, we'll be building water treatment plants for NAWEC, in addition to digging boreholes as well. And in doing so also, we will help them in their distribution capacity to make sure NAWEC is able to cover new grounds. NAWEC is also able to make sure they stabilize their water supply systems in a way that people will find it reliable, because often we hear people complaining about how they go days without water. So OIC will come in that regard to complement it.
The fifth one, of course, has already been accomplished, and that's the $50 million International Conference Center, which was a grant from the Chinese government that has actually been inaugurated by the head of state, I think, early this year.
In fact, it is the biggest in the sub-region, with a capacity to hold more than 4,000 people at a time. The plenary hall is able to seat more than 1,000 people, and on top of the plenary hall, we have different thematic room areas, different spaces that can accommodate people. We have a banquet, so it's a state-of-the-art facility, and in our current times, it is also able to facilitate teleconferencing as well. We have teleconferencing facilities. Given the huge space that we have there, people are even able to hold large meetings and then be able to observe social distancing and give space as well.
Things. We believe that even if you put together all these 5 pillars successfully, you need a peace of mind to be able to have your guests come to the country, conduct the conference peacefully, and then stay in a safe environment. So we are putting a lot of emphasis also on security. Already we have trained over 1,000 Gambian security officers in various aspects of security, including VIP protection, counter-terrorism, and so on and so forth. But that's work in progress. Our aim is to at least train 3,500 security personnel. And it is not only capacity building in the area of training, but we also envisage capacitizing them in terms of infrastructure and equipment.
Ko abiti e kulle dadol leydi ko wonno security dum ko he OIC dum ko e lesam woni sa bay minen ne Allah ko ngon sengo okki min hakkil kewdo min jetti mboyenne woni kulle diplomacy e kulle security a tawat non den min ballodiri e leydi wadi no toki min ballodiri e leydi wadi no Saudi e leydele godde Qatar en ko wayi non he Senegal sa leydele godde ne mbiden de ebbi yide min kalda e mabbe hewbe e mabbe won ko mbadi ko wayno Kuwait en ko wayi non.
The Gambia National Petroleum Corporation is the country's national oil company. For the past 17 years, GNPC has continued to deliver excellent services to all Gambians, from individuals to corporate clients. At GNPC, you are guaranteed the best quality fuel in the Gambia. Visit our stations and stop by our auto spare parts store, where you can find petroleum and lubricant products, wiper blades, and many more. All these provided without delay. With 10 service stations located throughout the country and still counting, GNPC gives you the best customer service anywhere, anytime. Think fuel, think GNPC, Gambia. It is now time to take ownership of what we own. GNPC, Nyokomom, the Gambia, our homeland.
The port is along West Africa's busy shipping lane. Being the country's main gateway for international trade, the Port of Banjul accounts for 90% of all imports and exports. The Port of Banjul has been recognized over the years as one of the safest and most efficient in West Africa, offering prompt, reliable and value for money service. The port has well-developed facilities for handling all type of cargo using modern equipment and techniques. This infrastructure, combined with a competitive and flexible tariff and a dedicated workforce, ensures quality service to its esteemed customers at all times. The port acquired modern cargo handling equipment, ensuring high degree of operational efficiency, which guarantees fast vessel turnaround time. The Port of Banjul is unrivaled in Africa for its simplified trade documentation procedures, thus fast customs clearance. It has a deep sheltered anchorage with no record of piracy, thus making it one of the safest in the sub-region. Gambia Ports Authority, ready to serve you better in line with its corporate mission statement, to excel as a leading maritime center for trade logistics and distribution.
I mentioned that we also have cross-cutting issues. And some of those cross-cutting issues are really communication. We really need to stay in touch with the world, and we really also need to create awareness about what we are doing during the conference, before the conference, and after the conference. So we are also trying to mobilize resources to be able to assist partner agencies within the country to be able to better equip themselves and carry that function out to the best of their ability. We have executing agencies. For instance, for the roads, the client, because when we mobilize resources, finance actually manages the money, but the client is usually the line ministry, relative to the project. In the case of the roads, the client is the Ministry of Works, and the executing agency is the NRA, National Roads Authority. For the airport projects, still the client is the Ministry of Works, but the executing agency is the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority. With regards to NAWEC, Water and Electricity, the client is the Ministry of Energy, but the executing agency is NAWEC, National Water and Electricity Corporation. So, but in terms of stakeholders, they are numerous, because we have the police, we have the municipalities, we have the women, we have the youths, we have the hoteliers, we have the vendors, we have the business community. We have a whole gamut of stakeholders as far as the implementation of our projects are concerned. For the road construction, and even for the airport, and for NAWEC, we go through the consultancy phases. The consultancy phases are the design phases. So the consultants would do the design, and they will do the pre-tender documents, and they will also even assist us with the tender documents, which will enable us to recruit the contractors. So it comes in that way. All our projects have been initially planned to complete by December 2021. But then, of course, we've lost some momentum with regards to COVID. But there has been mitigating factors that we have brought in to be able to minimize the negative impact of COVID. We have established what is called a Road Reserve Committee, and work has actually commenced in earnest. And this is where now we are now beginning to implement our communication strategy to make sure that all stakeholders, I mentioned that vendors, road users, youth, women, school children, everybody has a part to play in this. So some of the properties will be impacted. We've carried out a study which has highlighted, some of those properties that may have encroached, into the road reserve, because the area we are concerned with is 40 meters from the median line, 20 on either side, 20 meters on either side. Anything within that is said to be within the reserve part of the road. Of course, if you look at it in certain areas, you realize that some of the properties are actually within that reserve area. But we have established under the OIC Secretariat a road reserve committee, which comprises physical planning, NAWEC, KMC, Brikam Area Council, the police, ourselves, Works Ministry. Any agency that has some role to play with regards to security, with regards to space, with regards to the roads, are all part of that. The whole idea being our communication strategy will support that group to be able to create awareness in the first place why the road and how important it is to everybody and why it should be everybody's business to support the building of this road. And we are not oblivious of the fact that people will be impacted negatively, but then we have to consider the greater good. And we have explored ways ahead of time. We are now consulting and looking at alternatives, because we do not just want to tell people, leave this place. We are telling you, can you please leave this and move here? Because we know even if you tell some of the vendors to pack up for a day, it's impacting their lives and livelihoods negatively. And again, awareness is very important. You wouldn't believe that already government has designated lands around here, car parks and markets. And the way these roads are going to be structured, we cannot have all these people, hawkers and vendors around, because the plan is, which is not final yet, we are going to have 7 meters on either side of the road, which is going to be dual carriageway. And we're going to have 3 meters on either side, comprising 1.5 of the shoulder and 1.5 of the pedestrian part or cyclist part. So you will need all the 40 meters, So currently the Road Reserve Committee is working very hard in collaboration with the physical planning and the lands office to even relocate most of these people, including all these people who are selling the second-hand cars. We are trying to relocate some of them at the Jabang Highway. There is a lot of space there. We are in discussion with the ministry to be able to identify an area there where, and look at even along the road, you have all these people selling sand, all these trucks. It's an eyesore. Every day new garages, mechanics are making their appearances, arrogating places to themselves. And it's an eyesore. They are pouring burnt oil, derelict vehicles, everything all over the place. And this is the gateway. From the airport, this is the only highway we have into this country. So we really need to, and part of the plan of the OIC, as far as this road is concerned, is not only to construct it, but also to beautify it. And we are also in cooperating with the GT board. Originally, the GT board wanted what is called the tourism development area. But we told them no, we needed to expand it all the way from the Yundum Junction to Sting Corner. So these are some of the things that we are doing. There is a lot happening in the background, and I think I can imagine what you are trying to allude to. There needs to be a lot of sensitization. Nobody should be left behind. Everybody should be on board. Everybody should see themselves in this. They should see it as their responsibility to make sure this thing works. Because even if the funds are available and all the contractors are on the ground, the work will progress well if everybody complies and supports. But if people are reluctant to support, it can create a lot of problems for even the contractors. So that's one thing we really want the public to be aware of.
Communication is very central to what we do. We've been working on a comprehensive communication strategy, and our goal is to make sure we mobilize the public in terms of support for our projects, but also to make sure all the people in this country see themselves in the projects that we are rolling out, in a way that they will see the benefits, the long-term benefits, the wider benefits for themselves, their communities, and the country as a whole. And we've launched our communication operations. If you are following the local media, I want to assume you must have heard our ads, our promotional ads on radio. The video is coming. On social media also, we are actively engaging people about what we are all about and how the projects will benefit Gambians. And in addition to that, we have, as part of our communication plan, a grassroots community engagement component, in a way where we will go out and meet people that will be impacted by our community, by our projects, talk to them, and also solicit their support. We will also, there are plans afoot to also work with private individuals and companies to make sure we facilitate some of these things. We are aware of the fact that what we do will impact local and ordinary people. That is why we are adopting this approach.
It's going to be a stimulus for growth, because I don't have to begin to enumerate the importance of roads, how they will impact goods and services, how they would impact our individual pockets in terms of the fuel consumption and so on. I do not also have to express the need for good accommodation in this place. And I want to, let me just say, overall, we believe if you put all these, what we are trying to do, if you put all of it together, like I said in the beginning, we are putting Gambia at a different level. What we are trying to promote is an alternative to cash crop, this monocrop thing that we have, granules. We want to promote Gambia as a conference destination. You would have, with hindsight, note that Gambia used to be the re-export trade. It used to be the bread basket or the supermarket of the sub-region, which we kind of have lost. I'm sure there are efforts to kind of regain that status. But I think promoting this country, we've had tourism. I think Gambia's tourism product is one of the most mature throughout Africa. We started even before Kenya. And in addition to really promoting our tourism, if we can promote this place as a conference destination, I think we are likely really to, create additional sources of revenue for government. Again, I think at the individual level, you can't pump in $100 million in a small economy like the Gambia without having to feel the impact at the local level, because it's going to affect markets. We are going to buy more and more of the things that they would need in the construction industry, for instance. Those who are actually in haulage industry will benefit. Those in the horticulture industry will benefit. Those in the cottage industry will benefit. Those in the sand industry will benefit. So I think it's one cannot really count the benefits that are likely to accrue from the implementation of these projects.
Still in the area of tourism also, through our OIC efforts, we will also work with our partners to make sure our preeminent position as the leader in tourism in West Africa is preserved and promoted. We will work with our partners in the tourism sector to help them upgrade where necessary, to design new packages, and in a variety of ways, and the conversations have started. And I am very hopeful that a lot of positive development will come out of that.
Apart from the fact that you have to comply with the guidelines of the funding agency, you also have to comply with the GPPA rules. This is almost all these projects were on international tender, and they have not been sourced to any particular company. They are all highly competitive. In fact, the minimum number of companies that have competed for any of our projects, both at the consultancy and the contractuals of the construction stage, the minimum is 6 companies. And then in the case of Saudi Arabia, all their projects must be co-implemented. I mean, they must have Saudi companies to pair with local companies. We have also, in this regard, introduced certain elements because we want local content to feature very well in these projects for two good reasons. One, build capacity, with a view to sustaining whatever in the future, so that our companies can better compete, the international companies in the future. At the same time, there'll be a trickle-down effect economically, so that not all the funding coming is not just going to be repatriated back, so that the local community also can benefit. So in the water project, in the electricity project, in the roads project, in the airport project, the Saudis would send a list of Saudi companies, 6 for instance, or 9, and we are also now to ensure that 6 other companies locally. But then at the level of pairing, we do not interfere. They talk to each other and they identify who will marry who. So they come in that kind of JV, and that's how they compete. So that's the way the funds are structured. The idea of a local content has been conceived right from the beginning. And this is why we make it even conditional in the way our projects are competed for. That we realize that there is a deficit of capacity, especially in the area of construction for such mega projects. And we insist that any international company that's coming to work here, you must have a local partner. That way local content is assured. At the same time, our communication plan and even our procurement plan also takes into consideration local content.
For the women folk, they are the people that you usually see on the highways engaging in informal businesses. We have a plan in store where we want to work with either YEP or GAIPA or both of them to make sure we build their capacities, to be able to package the products that they sell, to be able to formalize their business, because we are also expecting the world to come. So we don't want to carry on as business as usual. So what we want to do is to empower the businesses to be able to sanitize, for lack of a better word, their business environment in a way that it will not be difficult to have the public, the world that is coming, our guests interact and interact with our businesses and the products that they sell.
We want the visitors to come to this country, and as soon as they come, they feel the Gambia. They continue to feel the Gambia, experience Gambia, and then live with that experience for life. So everything when they come in right from the beginning, when they stay here, what they take along, even in terms of our contribution at the conference, and in terms of the memorabilia that we will be providing for conference attendees, we want everything to be Gambian. So this is a challenge for our local entrepreneurs to make sure they are what they are sold. They participate and compete and provide us quality which is of international standard.
At the center of all the things we are doing, all these projects, I think the one that excites me the most is the job creation component. When you look at the hotel construction, the road construction, the airport construction, the conference proper, all through all these projects, we will need human resources. And by human resources, I mean we'll be creating employment opportunities for people in this country. So the potential for jobs is high. So the opportunities are humongous, in my opinion. And as soon as we start rolling out our projects, we will create avenues for young people and the women folk in particular to be able to tap into these opportunities. But I can tell you that we hope to generate a lot of employment opportunities.
In fact, the whole objective behind this Secretariat really is more transformational than transactional. If you look at the kind of projects that we are putting together, I mean, it's unprecedented in the history of the Gambia, and it may not answer all our infrastructural needs, but we hope that it will be very transformational. It will be leverage, people can leverage on that, and then it will afford the government to be able to allocate scarce resources to other areas.
The way that we think about our projects is that we are looking at transformation. We are looking at transforming the Gambia. We think beyond the summit. So that being the case, we want to make sure long after the OIC summit is done, the Gambia maintains its reputation as a conference destination, as the leading conference destination in the region. So it's a magnificent edifice that has the potential to change the fortune of this country in terms of tourism and other respect.
Insight on the NDP television series, proudly sponsored by Gambia Revenue Authority, Gambia Ports Authority, Petrogas and GNPC. Airing every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on GRTS, QTV, Star TV and Sahel Network TV.
For high quality fuel, right quantity, at the right time, at the right place, and the right price in a safe environment, visit any Petrogas service station. Petrogas has 15 service stations strategically located all over the country and still growing. Petrogas is the leading supplier of bulk fuel to corporate and government clients. Petrogas is the only company operating a hydrant refueling system at Banjul International Airport, providing interplane delivery services, refueling all international military and civilian aircrafts. Petrogas, the leading retail brand in the Gambia, has its own branded world-class gas cylinders to cater for households, hotels and restaurants. Petrogas cylinders are available in all outlets, including Plus Fortune, Halal and B&Co supermarkets. For high quality fuel for your vehicle or business, Petrogas is the place to go. Petrogas, operating locally with global standards.
No, no.
Mira jamna.
Where ma?
Hilang he.
No business.
Joka sera.
Marsuda?
Sera sera.
Do mi mandar nan kilian boy mi yagallo mi yani ma joni boy.
Ndara le.
Mi yagallo.
Aye galle.
Mi. Ko na jogi nyamande. Yandi jiare. Jiare, hajo angi jiare. Hajo man no foti wonde jiare. Yandi jiare ko tan en fo yobo eta ko biyata tax lempo. Ko sifa an e sifa ma dum aran. Ono yobe galle. Har kan jiyande hoorema avocat ay goto an tun jeey galle ma yeeyade. An andi siko terrain on tumo darnaka walla galle darnade ha pare jiare no addi gadani ma ko wiyete capital gain tax hay sa anda nunoto on capital gain tax a foti mo yobbude joni ko no mi yobrata mi ƴetta e mbodi de mi galle on fo boy mi dum don ay tambud ma fo jonnabe de wana dum de on capital gain tax so kan yeni mo horema kan yeni hore galle den horema a foti yobbude 5% walla 15% woni percent sappojo temedere o sappojo afal ko ga yani gale den horema so woni compagnie ma yani wale awa yobbude 10% wala 25% dum non heddi e mbuudi ko yeeyda gale den ko do wonde naforuji heewdi kono fimi halna ma tun seeda o tax o won dépense lamu on tax yetata be ba police be ba fire service gambe en ka mo ina tali laawi gambe mo ina lebetani yobata jannobe ko école din taxi be yobirta ay de wonde don dum musi ari don roddo ko marché be tampa ha fi lope de eta ni mbuli ka yetta mo ina marché mi sanga andude apa tampere o tampere ala ko buri yombo jiare place mabbe no heewi do joni mi yahi mi hewta jiare ni ona musibbe kala mo anda ko jibbinan di leede wala jodi nan di leedi awadi wakkilade yoba ko be weta tax ko nafoore mom ko nafoore Gambia yara yes.
There are 8 strategic goals of the NDP, and if you look at our own strategic intent, each of them complement one or other of those strategic objectives. So we are in a way there is no conflict. We are creating the necessary synergies to be able to complement in a significant way the attainment of the objectives of the NDP. We know that it's a cardinal objective of the NDP to make sure there is sustainable supply of energy, reliable and sustainable supply of energy. Our support to NAWEC clearly indicates significantly how we are contributing towards that goal. If you come to the area of tourism also, clearly you see how a five-star a brand hotel would add to that strategic goal. And if you talk about roads also, so our goals are mutually, inclusive. In fact, I would say ours are a derivative of the national NDP goals. So we are in a way significantly impacting the implementation of the National Development Plan.
Talking about the OIC projects and their linkage with the NDP, I think that is quite significant. The OIC projects are cross-cutting. It touches a wide spectrum of issues that are central to our growth and development as a country, which also has a very, very strong synergy and bearing with the NDP. If you look at the main components of the NDP, is employment generation, growth, energy, agriculture, and a host of issues. And these are the same issues that the OIC wants to address with the key strategic projects that we have ongoing. For example, if you look at the construction of roads, as part of our strategic plan, we'll be constructing 20 new roads in addition to the battle-hardened highway as well. When it comes to our tourism portfolio, the NDP also has significant plans in that regard. And OIC is going to contribute by diversifying our tourism portfolio, by introducing conference tourism in the Gambia through the conference center and the upgrading of airport facilities. So as you can see, our meeting points with the NDP is several. That is why on our board, we have all the right and key policy decision makers. The board is headed by the president, supported by the different ministers that we have in this country to make sure decision making is fast and smooth. And at this juncture, I would like to acknowledge the support and contribution that we receive from the executive, the leadership. The fact that he is the chair of our board speaks volumes. It shows how much they are committed to making sure that the summit, the OIC projects, and all related matters are expedited and then are carried out in a way that the country will be proud on the international stage. I can safely say any allegation whatsoever that there are any form of executive interference in the work of the OIC is unfounded. In fact, we enjoy considerable support from the executive. Rather than interfere, they have been facilitating. In fact, we operate with a degree of autonomy, with a strong degree of autonomy at the OIC. Whatever we do is in line with the extant rules and guidelines that we have here, and also in line with the guidelines that we receive from our funding partners. In fact, to show you how independent we are from the central government, or how participatory our approach is, we involve all the major stakeholders. All the tendering process is open tender, public tender. Everything that happens is communicated. We do it in collaboration with National Road Authority, in collaboration with the Ministry of Works and all the relevant partners, based on the relevance of the different institutions in this country to a particular project. For example, NRA is our main partner in the road works, but when it comes to the water and electricity, NAWEC is our main partner. When it comes to the upgrading of the airport, GCCA is our partner. So whatever we do, it's strongly anchored on the principle of transparency and accountability, and it involves all these bodies. So you know, when you have all these bodies participating, it will be difficult for any sort of interference or any sort of untoward action to take place. So I can tell you with a strong degree of certainty that at the OIC, we operate with a strong degree of autonomy. Rather than interference, what we have is facilitating from the executive.
Now, dañi ko wiyete kadi national development plan. Andi plan kam na wayno tan ko diidol wiyangol ko ɗo jiɗɗen yah. Ɗum neɗɗo goto waɗata ɗum. Gardiɗo ko wawi woni mi diidi lawol ngol nani ngare njehen. Joni noon jaho en fof sa hawri e hayre dirtin, sa hawri e butel dirtin, sa hawri ko bonnata dirtin. So lawol ngol feewi enen fof en jaa ɗo jiɗɗen ɗo heɓoy so Allah jaɓi. Ɗum ɗon noon taki ko abbiti e kulle tourisme ina hen, ko abbiti he kulle ko wayno nino finance ina hen, ko abbiti e goɗɗi dal. We cannot just go through this without complimenting the efforts of some of our staff, particularly the head of the brand and communication, my brother Fali Fadera, with his team, and also those who attended these organizing committee meetings, because we had a rigorous process that they went through.
For me personally, I consider it the honor of my life to be part of such a huge project. A project that we consider a legacy project, a project that will be here long after we are gone. So to be associated with it in any way is a big honor for me, especially as a young person, because the problems that we seek to address are the very problems that Gambians grapple with on a daily basis. So the fact that you are part of a national effort to make life better, easy, and to bring progress, I think it's an honor that anybody would definitely appreciate, and I hugely appreciate it. I think it also speaks to the policy of this government, the progressive policy of this government in encouraging young people to be the best of themselves. We have seen, in addition to the OIC, the TRRC, even if you look at the transitional justice as a whole, the transitional justice program as a whole, young people are central to it. Wherever you look in this government, whatever opportunities that they have, they make sure young people are at the heart and center of it. So as excited as I am, I also want to express gratitude to the people that give me the opportunity to serve. They could have said, oh, he's young, as usual, let's go for the old guards. But I think the government is approaching things with a progressive mind, and as a result, they want a dynamic team that will be able to adapt to the needs of the times to make sure whatever we are up to is effectively done. And like I said, I'm excited to be part of this story.
We are only playing a little part. Most of what we do can only come to fruition through others. And in this particular case, we need the support of the Gambian population. We need their moral support, we need their prayers, we need their collaboration. We need people to comply, because when such works start, it affects some people negatively. I talked at length about how people will have to be displaced, how certain businesses have to move, how some properties may be affected, but it all boils down to thinking about the greater good. If we see Gambia as the #1 objective, if we see the development and advancement of the Gambia as the #1 objective, I think everybody should be supportive of the work of the OIC. And then hopefully, if we could deliver on our key priority areas, we would have enabled Gambia to start the process of moving into the 21st century with adequate facilities, adequate infrastructure, to be able to be a comfortable member of the Committee of Nations.
OIC is here for all and sundry, irrespective of the political affiliation you identify with, irrespective of the region you come from, irrespective of the language you speak, the tribe. At the end of the day, when the electricity supply is stable for all of us. When we have better roads, everybody will benefit from it. So that being the case, I strongly want to appeal to the general public to give as much support as they can to the OIC, because when we successfully host the summit, the pride is for all Gambians. It's because it's like putting the Gambia on the global stage. You know, we are a small country, but we have so much to offer. And I think this is one opportunity that we have to demonstrate the fact that we are more than our size and we can pull more than above our weight on the international system. Thank you.
Who initiated what? This OIC subject was initiated in Niger, in Mauritania, Senegal themselves, some of them, they are struggling. I remember when I saw the interview of a professor. So not only Gambia spoke about, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, Sierra Leone, you see, because we are now in what they call the Africa Isle. This is not about country by country. So Gambia convinced the world, convinced the Islamic Ummah that we can do it. A resolution was passed that yes, Gambia can host it in 2022. It's not like we could not host it in 2029, but what they want is, once we host it, Gambia will be also an international conference destination. Because when we host it in 2022, we are going to remain the chairperson, okay, for 3 years. So most Gambians are just putting their minds on 2022, but this is going beyond that. Because those 3 years, we'll have resolutions, we'll have summits, we'll have meetings, and all that.